Welcome and good morning to all of you. So in today's session, we will study about unit number 6, that is instrumentation and economics of power plant. And in this, we'll be studying about the grids, then selection, layout of the electrical equipment, then the earthing. Okay, so this is the syllabus for our unit number 6, that is instrumentation and economics of power plant. So it is divided into two parts, that is power plant instruments and economics of power generation. So in two lectures we will study about the power plant instruments. So I have covered some part in the practical, that is our practical one practical is there, that is study of power plant instruments. Okay, so here we will discuss other parts related to the instrumentation. Okay, so before studying this one, so we should know what is grid. Okay, so because from the grid only the electricity will be distributed. Okay, so what is grid? So an electrical grid, so it is an interconnected network for delivering the electricity from suppliers to the consumers. Okay, so suppliers may be like because what will be happening, so the thermal power plant, it will be generating the power, and that power will be transmitted to the this one suppliers, like in our case in our Maharashtra, MSCB what it does, it supplies the electricity to the customers. Okay, so mainly the grid, it consists of three main components, that is power station that produces electricity from combustible fuels. So power station means already we have studied from unit number 5 to 1 to 5, that is how the power is generated. Okay, through the like through the thermal power plant, then through the diesel power plant, okay, nuclear power plant. Okay, so that is the first component, that is power station. Then second one is the transmission lines. Okay, so transmission line that carries the electricity from power plants to the demand centers. Okay, so this is the second components. Then third is the transformers that reduces the voltage and the distribution lines and that carry the power to the final delivery. So this is the third component, that is transformers. Okay, so from here only the electricity will be distributed to the consumers. Okay, so why we need this grid, why it is important to have the grid? So main thing is that to improve the reliability. Okay, so improve the reliability of the water, reliability of the electricity generated, then improvement of the economics. Okay, then improvement of the efficiency, we can improve the efficiency, then improvement of the power quality, then the security is very much important, security and safety. Okay, so that can be done by using the grid. Then we can control the entire power system if we are having the grid. So you might have heard about the grids in the news, and also almost that is power, we call it as the power grids. Okay, so northern sector, southern sector, then eastern, western. So we are having the different grids and the substations available. Okay, so next is about the selection of this site. So selection of the site for the construction of grid substation is important, and it is a essential activity. Okay, and this needs the meticulous planning. So planning has to be done, and foresight should be there, skillful observation has to be there, and handling has to be there, so that this site which we are selecting is technically, environmentally, economically, and socially optimal. Okay, so all this thing has to be there for the selection of the site, and this site, it should be as near the load center as possible. So whatever the load center we will be getting, so this grid also should be near to the load center. Load center means from there we will be getting the electricity, and grid it will be distributing. Then it should be easily accessible to public road to facilitate transport of material, because here also the transportation will be there. So the it should be easily accessible, like it should be always near to the railways or transportation then or the highways. Okay, so where easily we can have the transportation, and the site of the grid, it should be above the highest flood level so that there is no water logging. Okay, so it should be above the highest flood level. Otherwise, what will happen if we are selecting the site, and in when the rain comes and the flood will occur, and we will not have the chance of producing that's distributing the electricity. And it should be sufficiently away from the areas where police and military rifle practices are held. Okay, that means that fire chances may happen. Then it should be free from master plans and layouts or future development activities to have free lands. Okay, so also we have to select such that the area which we are selecting, in future there should not be any development activities like large constructions and all. Okay, so that has to be selected, and it should be far away from the airport, because airport, we know that aeroplanes will be continuously flying. Okay, so again that may cause the damage, so it should be far away from the airport. So these are the selection of the sites, and what are the requirements of the land area for that layout of our grid will be there. So the site which should have the sufficient area, so it should properly accommodate the substation buildings and structures, equipments. Okay, and should have the sufficient area for the future extension of buildings and switch yard. Okay, so we have to have land area should be sufficient, and in future plans, if we have to extend this extend the area, so we should have the area left so that we can extend. Okay, so the requirement of the land for the construction of substation, it includes the staff colony. Okay, and these are the area that is requirement, that is serial number 123, the table shows. And voltage class of GSS, what is GSS? GSS is the grid substation, and it is in terms of 400 kilovolt and the kilovolt ampere, kVA, and 220 kVA and 132 kVA. So these are the classification of the grid substation. And for 400 kVA, we require around 20 hectares. Okay, so this is the minimum requirement. And for 220 kVA, we require 6 hectares, and 132 we require 3.5 hectares. So again, what are the area is there? We should not have only this much area. We should have the area more than, suppose 132 kVA, we require 3.5 hectares. So at least we must have at least 6 acres, so that if you are going 132 to 2, extending 132 to 220, so that time we should have the area. So that is the one part of the requirement of the area. If we see the layout design, that is in the layout design, we should have the different types of bus bar. So what is bus bar? Bus bar, so it transfers the electricity. Okay, it transfers the electricity to the circuit breakers, okay, switch gears and all. So what are the different types of bus bar schemes available at the substations? So they are single bus bar, then main and auxiliary bus bar, double bus bar, and double main and auxiliary bus bar, and 1.5 breaker scheme. So here this diagram shows about the single bus bar arrangement. So it is the simplest switching scheme in which each circuit is provided with one circuit breaker. Okay, so each unit is provided with one circuit breaker. So here you can see that is the incoming line, this is the power transformer. Okay, so this arrangement, it offers the little security against bus bar faults. Okay, so the entire substation is lost in case of if a fault on the bus bar, and in case of maintenance of circuit breaker, the associated feeder, it has also to be shut down. So it is very simple, and but it is having the more disadvantage, that is security is not there, and if the substation, it will be lost. Okay, so again, for this to overcome single bar bus scheme, so we are using main and auxiliary bus bar. So here what is this is technical, this is same as that of the single bus bar arrangement with an additional bus bar called auxiliary bus. So here, see, you can see here one is only single bus we are using. So but here, instead of that single bus, we are using the auxiliary bus bar. Okay, so in this case, what happens? Single bus bar arrangement. So due to the fault, the entire substation is again lost. So if there is a fault in the bus arrangement, so entire substation will be lost, and the bus arrangement has been extensively used to. So this is only used to 132 kilovolt substations. Okay, so 440, for 440 we can't use this main and auxiliary bus bar. Then third type is the double bus bar. Okay, so here what happens, here we are using the double bus bar arrangement. So that is main bus bar 1, main bus bar 2. So two bus bars we are using, and each circuit they are connected to either one of these bus bars. Okay, so it will be connected with the isolator. So all these things we will be discussing, that is isolator, then circuit breaker, switch gears. Okay, these are all the components of the electrical equipment. Then bus couple breaker, it is also provided so that circuits can be switched on from one bus to the other on the load. So this is very important couple, that is breaker. Then this scheme, it suffers from the disadvantage that when any circuit breaker is taken out for the maintenance, the associated feeder, it has to be shut down. Okay, so again, whenever we take out the circuit breaker, okay, so circuit breaker mainly it is used for the protection of the this one grid. Okay, so this bus bar arrangement, it is generally used to nearly around 220 kilovolt substations. Okay, so again, this is one of the 220 kilovolt we are using, but one disadvantage is that when we remove the circuit breaker, so the feeder will shut down. Okay, so to overcome this double bus bar, what we are using double main and an auxiliary bus bar arrangement. So here double bus bar was used, but here this one double main. So we are having double main, that is main bus 1 and main bus 2. So these are the bus bar, main bus bar, and second we are using with the auxiliary bus. Okay, so the limitation of whatever the double bus bar scheme is there, it is been overcome by using the additional auxiliary bus. So if you are using additional auxiliary bus, if you remove the circuit breaker, then also the there will be no chances of the shutdown. Okay, so here what happens, the feeder is transferred to the auxiliary bus during the maintenance of its controlling circuit. Okay, so without shutdown of the unit. Okay, so last one is about the 1.5 breaker system. Okay, so here what happens, the 3 circuit breakers are used for controlling 2 circuits which are connected between 2 bus bar, and both the bus bar are in the service. So here what we are using both 2 bus bar, that is bus bar 1 and this is the bus bar 2. Okay, and we are using 3 circuit breakers. So this is the full unit circuit breaker, that is line circuit breaker, tie circuit breaker. Okay, so a fault on any one of the bus bars, so it is cleared by opening of the associated circuit breakers which is connected to the faulty bus bar, so which does not affect continuous supply. Okay, and similarly any circuit breaker can be taken out for maintenance without causing any interruption. So using these 3 circuit breakers, so easily if any one circuit breaker fails, so we can easily remove so that it doesn't disturbs uh, the flow of the electricity. Okay, so load transfer, it is achieved through the breakers, and therefore the operation is simple. So whatever the load is, the load distribution easily that can be maintained by this circuit breakers. Okay, and the operation is very simple, and the breaker and half scheme is best for those substations which handle large quantities of power and where the operation is outgoing. Okay, so for large power station, this 1.5 breaker arrangement is used, and this scheme can be used in the 400 kilowatt substation. Okay, so this is the general layout of the electrical layout diagram. Okay, so this is for the 132 kilovolt substations. Okay, so here we can see that is A means automatic electric Bombay, then B BHEL. Okay, so how the electricity, that is it will be distributed through this 132 substation. So it has been distributed to BHEL, Crompton Greaves, Siemens, then Southern Switchgear, then Westinghouse. Okay, so how that is, again you can see that is bus main bus bars will be available, and circuit breakers will be available. Okay, so and similarly, this is the electric layout diagram for the 220 kilovolt substations. Okay, then what are the list of materials which are used for the grids? So what are the list of materials? They are typical, and they cover the general requirement. Okay, so if we see the list of the materials, so this is the list of the material for 132 kilovolt grid substation. Okay, so here what is required is that structures, beams with nuts, bolts, washers, etc. Okay, so all this are the that is for the beams. Okay, that is BT1 column. Then outdoor requirement, outdoor equipment will be power transformer, isolator, okay, circuit breaker. Okay, then control room equipment will be like that is to control the 132 kilovolt, we need transformer control and relay panel. Then battery set, distribution board. Okay, then bus bar material. Okay, so bus bar material, again single tension hardware. Okay, so clamps will be required. Then copper control cables is required for distribution. Then low transmission power cables, so it will be made up of aluminum. Then we require earthing material. Okay, so all those are the list of materials which are required for the grid stations, substation grids. So the safety clearance, it is very much important. So what are the equipments and the required facilities we are using to the substation? It should have the minimum clearances, and it should have the system reliability and safety of the operating personnel. So this should include the minimum clearances from the live parts to the earth. So what are the clearance should be from the earth to the live parts? And it must be ensured that sufficient clearance to the ground which is available within the substation, so as to ensure the safety of the personnel. Okay, so as per the rule 64 of the Indian electricity rules, that is 1956, the safety working clearance, it should be maintained for the bar conductors and live parts of any apparatus in the substations, excluding over the headlines. Okay, so this is that table. Like nominal system voltage, it will be in kilovolt. Okay, so I will take the example of 132. Then higher system voltage, it should be 145. Okay, it should not exit this month. So our requirement is 132, but higher system voltage, it can be up to 145. And the impulse level, it should be 550 to 650. And whatever the minimum clearance is there between phase and earth, it should be how much? 1900 to 2100. Then minimum clearances between that is phases, it should be also 1900 to 2100. And safety clearance, it should be 4300 to 4600. And ground clearance, it should be 5500. Okay, so this is the clearance table. Then last we will discuss about the earthing material design. Okay, so this here we can see the two current electrodes will be there, and from there we will be having the potential electrode, and this is the megger. Okay, so the resistivity, it is calculated by using rho is equal to 2 pi SR. What is rho here? Rho is the resistivity of soil, and it is in terms of ohm meter, and small s, it is the distance between two successive electrodes in meters. Okay, this is the s. So this is the distance between two successive electrodes, so that is between current electrode and potential electrode. Okay, and R, it is the megger reading in the ohms. So here we will get the ohms. So there should be provision of adequate earthing system in substation. Okay, and it is very much important because for the system operation and protection of the devices. So the main primary requirements of the earthing system in a substation are: the impedance to ground should be as low as possible, but it should not exceed 1 ohm. Okay, so whatever the impedance is there, it should be below 1 ohm only. And second important requirement is this: the step potential. Okay, the step potential, what is the step potential? It is the maximum value of the potential difference possible of being shunted by a human body between two accessible points on the ground, which is separated by the distance of one pace. Okay, so what are the distances there? It should be 1 meter, and it should be within the safe limits. Okay, it should be 1 meter, it should not go beyond that much. And third one is the touch potential. It is the maximum value of the potential difference between a point of the ground and point of an object. Okay, so which carry the fault current, okay, such that the points can be touched by a person, and it should be also within a safe limit. So we have to follow this procedure. We have to check always this one, that is impedance to the ground. It should be uh, below 1 ohm, then step potential and the touch potential. Okay, so the details of earthing material used in substation, so they are given below here. That is the, here we are using 132 kilovolt substation, then 220 kilovolt substation, and this is the 400 kilovolt substation. So main earthing conductor for earthing material, that will be 25 diameter MS rod. So this can be, this is used. Then 28 rod for 220 and 40 for 400 kilovolt. So you can see here we are using the MS mild steel rod. Then for the risers, we will be using MS flat plate, that is flat, that is it will be 50 by 100 Okay, so that is width. Then LT panels, it will be 50 by 6 for 132 kilovolt. Then earth electrodes. Okay, so you can see, so it will be around 3250 meter long. Okay, so these are the requirements of the earthing material. So I hope everyone understood. So thank you very much. So in next class we will study about the equipments of the power plant instrument, like exciters, then circuit breakers, isolators, etc. Thank you very much, all of you.